We all know in 1996 that Tupac Shakur, legendary and famous rapper, was gunned down and ultimately lost his life in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, 27 years later, someone has finally been held accountable for his murder and charged with the murder after people have wondered and speculated for years who killed this man. You better believe we're going to talk about it. Welcome back to Damien After Dark. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed yet, click that subscribe button. Also, turn on your post notifications and click the thumbs up button to like this video, and that is your way of supporting. Also, join the conversation because I would love to hear what you guys think about this revelation and uncovering that has happened 27 years later in the famous Tupac story. Okay? So let's talk about it. I have always been a fan of Tupac. I've always liked his music. Even as I remember being a kid and hearing the first Tupac song I ever heard was California Love. And I remember thinking, like, where's California? And finding out where California was and, you know, what kind of state it was. And that's where they made movies and stuff. And wanting to go to LA and wanting to go to California because I heard this song. And as I got older, you know, listened to more of his music, and just like a lot of you at home that are probably watching this, truly fans of this man's music. I think if you've watched interviews with him or you've listened to his music, you know that he was really ahead of his time. He was like 20-something years old, early 20s, but spoke like a man that was 40 years old. And just very interesting to listen to. When he spoke, everyone listened, right? And I think over all these years, the past 26 years, there's been so much speculation. Did Suge Knight have him killed? Was it an inside job? Did P. Diddy, Puff, did he have something to do with it? Was it the gang, East Coast, West Coast, you know what I'm saying? There was so much speculation. And I think a lot of people, including myself, had just given up on the fact that we were never going to find out who killed this man. Now, we know for a fact that there were 4 people in the car that night that they shot him. The vehicle that included the shooter, there were 4 people in there. 3 of those people, including the shooter, is no longer living. They're deceased now. So they can't be held accountable for the death or the murder. So that's another thing that I think people need to realize is that over these course of the years, police actually have known who did it. It's just that the men are dead. You know, they were involved in gangs and the street life, so they're not around anymore. However, the one man that was around, the ringleader, Dwayne Davis, Keefy D, also known as Keefy D, he is the one. He was the gang leader, the one who set this up, put the hit out on him. And that's the one we're going to talk about today, okay? So he's the last remaining man that was involved with this murder who is being finally held accountable and charged for this murder of Tupac. I'm going to read you guys some of this article from the Associated Press, and we'll talk about it and break it down as we go, okay? So, again, this is from the Associated Press. A man who prosecutors say ordered the 1996 killing of rapper Tupac Shakur was arrested and charged with murder Friday in a long-awaited breakthrough in one of hip-hop's most enduring mysteries. Dwayne "Keefy D" Davis has long been known to investigators as one of the 4 suspects identified early in the investigation. So they've known about this man for a long time. He isn't the accused gunman, but was described as the group's ringleader by authorities Friday at a news conference in court. Now, in Nevada, you can be charged with a crime, including murder, if you help someone commit the crime. Same here where I live in Alabama, and I think that goes with most states. Just because you don't pull the trigger, just because you don't rob the bank, don't mean you ain't culpable. If you drove the car, if you ordered the killing, if you put out the hit, If you was just sitting in the car while they did it, you just as guilty, and you're going to be accountable too. Okay? Now, according to Las Vegas Police Homicide Lieutenant Jason Johannesson, Dwayne Davis was the shot caller for this group of individuals that committed this crime. And he orchestrated the plan that was carried out. Davis himself has admitted in interviews and in his 2019 tell-all memoir, Compton Street Legend, that he provided the gun used in the drive-by shooting. So this big dummy not only planned to kill Tupac, orchestrated it and everything, he told on himself over the years multiple times. In a Netflix documentary, I watched he did an interview with Vlad TV here on YouTube. You can go watch it right now. This fly keeps flying around. It's driving me fucking crazy. There's an interview with him on Vlad TV. And in the interview, the guy asks him, the guy says, Mike Tyson said he wants 5 minutes in the ring with the person who killed Tupac. And Keefy D says, I ain't scared of him. I ain't scared of Mike Tyson. Tell him to come on in. He don't want 5 minutes in the ring with me. Pretty much admitting that he was involved. I think all this time, nothing has been done, that he just thought, oh, okay, I'm off the hook. Ain't nobody gonna do shit. I didn't pull the trigger, so they don't want me. Wrong. They was just waiting for the right time to get you, baby, and they did. Could you imagine going to prison at damn near 60 years old? You done lived your whole life, and now you get to the best years of your life where you just, are chilling, and you going to prison. Authorities said Friday that Davis's own public comments revived the investigation. So they had given up on this, just like a lot of people had. They thought that it had just, went away. But he started talking in these interviews, in the Netflix documentary, and they were like, okay, we need to reopen this. Now, Davis, now 60 years old, was arrested early Friday while on a walk near his home on the outskirts of Las Vegas, hours before prosecutors announced in court that a Nevada grand jury had indicted the self-proclaimed gangster on one count of murder with a deadly weapon. He is due in court next week. The grand jury also voted to add a sentencing enhancement to the murder charge for gang activity that could add up to 20 additional years if he's convicted. So they're going to not only charge him with this murder, they're going to add on a sentencing enhancement. I ain't even heard no shit like that. They pretty much saying, since you were involved, since this murder had to do with gang-related activity, we're going to up that sentence some. An additional 20 years. You ain't getting out. You will die in prison, Mr. Keefy D. Because your ego and your stupidity got the best of you. You wanted to go out here and do interviews for clout because you felt good sitting back, talking about, yeah, I did it. Yeah, I did this. Yeah, I ordered the killing. Yeah, Tupac this and that. When you do clownery, the clown comes back to bite. And Tupac came back to bite in this instance. Hundreds of pages of transcripts released Friday provide a view into the first month of grand jury proceedings, which began in late July with testimony from former associates of Davis, friends of Shakur, and a slate of retired police officers involved in the case early on. Their testimony painted a picture for the jurors of a deep, escalating rift between Shakur's music label Death Row Records and Bad Boy Records, which had ties to Davis and represented Shakur's rap rival, Biggie Smalls. Okay? So, they're pretty much, of course, talking about the infamous Bad Boy Records versus Death Row Records, East Coast versus West Coast. We all know that they had this beef, Puffy and Biggie versus Tupac and Suge and Snoop and all them. You know, they had this ongoing beef. And Davis was kind of like their, you know, he had ties to Bad Boy Records and Biggie Smalls. Quote, it started the whole West Coast, East Coast rivalry that primarily defined the hip-hop scene during the mid-90s, one of Davis's former associates testified. The first ever arrest in the case came after Las Vegas police in mid-July raided Davis's home in the nearby city of Henderson for items they described at that time as, quote, concerning the murder of Tupac Shakur. So they arrested him in mid-July after they raided his home. Now it says Davis denied an interview request from jail, and court records don't list an attorney who can comment on his behalf. Phone and text messages to Davis and his wife on Friday in the months since the July 17th search weren't returned. So I guess when they arrested him in mid-July, he bonded out. Now they've arrested him again. I think's what I'm taking from this. Can you bond out on a murder charge, though? I'm confused on that, on him being, or was he arrested in July 17th? But why is this just now news then? I don't get that. The first ever arrest came after Las Vegas police in mid-July raided his home. Okay. In a statement Friday, Tupac's sister, Sakiwa Shakur, described the arrest as a victory. She said, this is no doubt a pivotal moment. The silence of the past 27 years surrounding this case has spoken loudly in our community. It's important to me that the world, the country, the justice system, and our people acknowledge the gratitude of the passing of this man, my brother, my mother's son, my father's son. Now, Keefe D, in his memoir, said that he was in the front passenger seat of the Cadillac and had slipped a gun into the back seat from where he said the shots were fired. He implicated that his nephew, Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, saying he was one of the two people in the back seat. Now, Anderson was a known rival of Shakur and had been involved in a casino brawl with the rapper shortly before the shooting. Now, that is the infamous security footage from 1996 of the casino. Y'all remember that? If you haven't seen it, it's out there. It's 1996 security footage from inside of a casino when Tupac, Suge Knight, their whole group are walking through the casino and they see this Orlando Anderson guy, which is Tupac's rival, and they beat the hell out of him in the casino. Only for this Orlando Anderson guy to leave the casino, go find Dwayne, Keefe D, tell him what happened. Keefe D then gets their group together and he sets a hit out on Tupac. Now, the police lieutenant said, little did anyone know that this incident right here would ultimately lead to the retaliatory shooting and death of Tupac. Talking about the Las Vegas beatdown that happened. Anderson died 2 years later, and he denied any involvement in Tupac's death. So he died in 1998. Emails seeking comment from two lawyers who have previously represented Knight were not immediately returned. Talking about Suge Knight. Now, Suge was grazed by a bullet fragment in the shooting, but only had minor injuries. He is serving a 28-year prison sentence in California for an unrelated voluntary manslaughter charge. Suge Knight, he just ain't never learned his lesson. He needs to be in prison. All that. I mean, come on now. Now, When the police raided Keffe D's home, they collected multiple computers, a cell phone, a hard drive, a Vibe magazine that featured Tupac, several .40 caliber bullets, 2 tubs containing photographs, and a copy of Keffe D's memoir. Now, Greg Kading, a retired police detective who spent years investigating the Tupac killing and wrote a book about it, says he's not surprised by Davis's arrest. He put himself squarely in the middle of the conspiracy, Kading said, adding that Davis himself gave Las Vegas police the ammunition and leverage to move forward. Now, Greg says that he also anticipated the murder charge because Davis's public comments showed the crime was premeditated. Quote, all the other direct conspirators or participants are all dead. Keffe D is the last man standing among the individuals that conspired to kill Tupac. The rapper's death came as his 4th solo album, All Eyes on Me, remained on the charts with some 5 million copies sold. Nominated 6 times for a Grammy Award, Tupac is largely considered one of the most influential and versatile rappers of all time. Now, some of you may say if they knew that this man was involved years ago, why didn't they do anything? Why are they just now reopening the case and doing something? So apparently, years and years ago, when they found out that this man was involved, he pretty much got immunity. Sort of. We'll call it immunity, but it's called a proffer, Proffer, which is pretty much an agreement that says, if I give you information and I work with you and I work with law enforcement, I get immunity. So that's what happened at that moment. And immunity may be the wrong word. It could just be avoiding prosecution, whatever. But they say years later, all these years later, he's continued to talk about it, that they reopened the case. So I guess Keffe D, this whole time has thought, oh, they ain't gonna do shit to me. They ain't done shit to me. They ain't gonna do shit to me. I signed an agreement years ago. Well, apparently, that didn't work too well for you, did it, brother? Because now you going to prison at 60 years old. And this man done lived his life. Well, y'all should have got him years ago. The way I would have skipped town so fast and flew the fuck up out the country, if I would have killed someone, not to mention the biggest star in the world at the time, I'm leaving the country and I'm starting a new life. Ain't no way I would have stayed in fucking the U.S. This man stayed in the U.S. for 27 years after killing someone or ordering a hit on someone and never went to prison for it and lived his life. Mind blown. Anyway, I want to hear from you guys on what you think about this story. Make sure you jump in the comments below and leave me your opinions on what you guys think about someone finally being held accountable and charged for the death of Tupac. What do you guys think about this story? Join the comments. Get in the comments below and join the conversation. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. You can also donate by getting in the description box below. I love you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Damien After Dark. See ya.